the beginning of the 99-2000 program. As the immediate past chairman of the club, I've got the honor this evening of turning the gavel over to our new chairman, Andy McKenna, who's the chairman and CEO of Schwartz Paper Company. And I do this with the very best wishes and a lot of thanks, because Andy's been a key part of this club for a long time, and particularly helpful to me during the last 2 years in the forums and helping us get the right people here for the dinners and the forums and everything. So it's with a great deal of gratitude and congratulations that I turn the gavel over to Andy McKenna, our new chairman.
Well, thanks, Phil, but don't go very far. You know, Phil gave us great leadership last year, and I know all of you participated in that, and I think particularly climaxed with the Tony Blair performance in April. So, Phil, we recognize you in so many different ways, and tonight we want to present you with a lifetime membership in the Economic Club. You got to come to all the meetings now, Phil. Now, beyond that, I also want to suggest the lifetime membership is granted for two reasons. In the case of Phil, for outstanding leadership and service, and also after 50 years of membership in the club. Now, tonight, we have 4 members, 3 of whom are present, that we would like to honor and present them with a certificate of life membership. And those 3 are sitting at the speaker's table. Oliver R. Aspergren, President of Aspergren Financial Corp. Please come up.
After 50 years, I can still walk up here.
William B. Hummer, Principal Wayne Hummer Investments, Bill. And Felix Stungavicius, Chairman of International Language and Communications Centers, Inc. Gordon H. Smith, the retired partner of Gardner, Carton, and Douglas, could not be with us this evening. And now a few announcements and a little housekeeping about the 99-2000 season. Our first forum meeting will be held on November the 3rd at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. We have the special privilege of hosting Klaus Schwab, founder and president of the prestigious international organization, the World Economic Forum. Professor Schwab will be joined by a panel of prominent media leaders from France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, and they will present a view from Europe. I might mention that the World Economic Forum does not present outside of their own venue, so this is a rare opportunity. I really would encourage you to be there on November the 3rd. Invitations are out, and we're anxious to have as many people as we can. And take advantage of this. This is our regularly scheduled November forum, but there's a little change in this. This forum will occur at the dinner hour rather than the noon, and as such, business attire, it will be the dress for that particular evening. Our second dinner will be held on December the 6th, and our guest speaker will be Kenneth Chenault, President, COO, and CEO designate of American Express Company. As always, for that holidays time, we encourage all of our members to invite their young adult children and grandchildren to that meeting. John Bryan, Chairman and CEO of Sara Lee Corporation and past president of the club, will be our first speaker of the new millennium. We are delighted to welcome John to our platform on February 29th, and we'll take the occasion to congratulate him as he celebrates his 25th anniversary as CEO of Sara Lee. Quite an outstanding accomplishment. Announcements for each of these meetings will be sent to you in advance, and I hope you plan to attend. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce those seated at the speaker's table. As I call their names, I will ask each to stand and remain standing until the introductions are complete. Please hold your applause until all have been introduced. Beginning at my far left, Melody Hobson, Senior Vice President, Ariel Mutual Funds and Ariel Capital Management, Inc. D. Cameron Finley, Partner, Sidley & Austin, and Chair of the Questions Committee. William Mason, General Director, Lyric Opera of Chicago. J. Patrick O'Brien, General Manager, Central Region, Swiss Air, and Chair of the Reception Committee. Charles Marshall, Past President, Illinois Bell. Michael P. Krasny, Chairman and CEO, CDW Computer Centers, Inc. Neil F. Hardigan, Partner, McDermott, Will & Emery. Rodney L. Goldstein, Managing Partner, Frontenac Company, Member of the Board of Directors and Chair of the Foreman's Committee. Emily Reynolds, President, Ambassador Cannon. Oliver R. Aspergren, President, Aspergren Financial Corporation. Jack F. Sandner, Special Policy Advisor, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and a member of the Board of Directors. Judith Spreiser, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, Sara Lee Corporation. John B. McCoy, Chairman and CEO, Bank One Corporation. William B. Hummer, Principal, Wayne Hummer Investments. Miles D. White, Chairman of the Board and CEO, Abbott Laboratories. Wilma J. Smelser, Chairman, Bank of America, Illinois, Member of the Executive Committee and Chair of the Program Committee. And now to my far right, W. Noel Michaels, Sales Director, Gulfstream Aerospace Corporation. Mark L. Gordon, Managing Partner, Gordon & Glickson, and Subcommittee Chair of the Membership Committee. James H. Lowry, President and CEO, James H. Lowry and Associates. Stephanie Pace Marshall, President, Illinois Mathematics and Science Academy. Felix Stanovicius, Chairman, International Language and Communication Centers, Inc. Audrey R. Peoples, Chief Executive Officer, YWCA of Metropolitan Chicago. Howard J. Treenans, Partner, Sidley & Austin, and former General Counsel, AT&T. Louis B. Sussman, Vice Chairman of Investment Banking, Solomon Smith Barney. Ella D. Struble, Retired Executive Vice President, Leo Burnett and Company, and Chairman of the Membership Committee. Michael J. Burke, Chairman and CEO, Tell Labs, and a member of the Board of Directors. Philip B. Rooney, Vice Chairman, the Service Master Company, and immediate past Chairman of the club. And now how about a round of applause for this group? And as is our time-honored tradition, we'll now take a 10-minute break before we introduce our guest speakers. Hi, John. Can we take our seats, please? Ladies and gentlemen, well, to mark the new millennium, we're starting out with two pioneers in what is clearly a leading industry of the future. In our lifetime, the telecommunications industry has gone from a mere convenience to becoming the backbone of virtually every business in America. Many of us remember growing up without television. Today, we can take our phones, TVs, and computers into the car, on the plane, to the bottom of the ocean, or even into outer space, and they probably will still work. Many experts predict that in a few years, we will all live in a hyper-connected world with TVs, phones, computers, and faxes, all talking to each other through the same fiber optic systems. And that's good news for the companies that own those systems, like Ameritech and SBC. As you know, 2 weeks ago, the Federal Communications Commission approved the acquisition of Ameritech by SBC, creating the nation's largest local telephone company, and of course, completing one of the largest mergers in American corporate history. Dick Notebaert is, of course, a good friend to many of us and an inspiring executive whose leadership at Ameritech kept the company at the forefront of his industry. He presided over an executive shakeup in the last few years that has brought in more outsiders, believing that fresh perspectives keep a company on the cutting edge. He's led Ameritech into foreign markets and primed the company for local phone service competition. Dick is also one of the most generous and active corporate leaders in Chicago. His generosity is apparent throughout our city, most notably in a new nature museum in Lincoln Park named for his wife, Peggy. As chairman and CEO, Dick has always kept his focus right where it should be, on customers and shareholders. He said publicly that this deal with SBC wouldn't be happening if it wasn't good for both ratepayers and stockholders. But questions remain. How will rates change? What happens to the employees? Will SBC be a new corporate presence in Chicago? We certainly hope so, and of course we welcome them to our city. And will Ameritech disappear? We certainly hope not. It's an important corporate presence in Chicago and has contributed in so many ways to our growth and our progress. We expect to get answers to some of these questions tonight from Dick Notebaert and the chairman and CEO of SBC, Ed Whitacre. Like Dick, Ed Whitacre has spent his entire career in the telecommunications business, where he has earned a reputation for smart and aggressive business strategies. As chairman and CEO, Ed's business strategy could probably be summed up with the same strategy that was used to market the remake of the movie Godzilla, and that is, size matters. His rivals in the industry, like AT&T and MCI WorldCom, continue to grow through acquisitions, reflecting on WorldCom's recent offer, MCI WorldCom's recent offer for Sprint. SBC is determined to keep up in this consolidating industry. In recent years, This San Antonio-based company has bought major telecommunications operations on the West Coast, in New England. Ed has also led the charge into new markets like Mexico and South Africa, and was instrumental in the company's move into wireless services. The Ameritech deal will put SBC in dozens of new local markets nationwide and positions the company to dominate this exciting and expanding business. Ed Whitacre has been chairman and CEO since 1990. He's a Texas native with a degree in industrial engineering from Texas Tech, and now serves on the university's Board of Regents, having recently completed a 6-year term as chairman. He also serves on the boards of Anheuser-Busch, May Department Stores, Emerson Electric, and Burlington Northern, and he's the incoming president of the Boy Scouts of America National Council. I might also comment that I learned at dinner that that SBC is one of the owners of the San Antonio Spurs, and there's an interesting parallel because the Bulls, Ed, were champions until we let you have it last year for a year. By all accounts, this merger appears to be moving ahead smoothly, but mergers are never as easy as they seem on paper. Legendary investor Warren Buffett once said, "The thrill of the chase can blind its pursuers to the consequences of the chase." It's our privilege tonight to hear these two architects of this remarkable business marriage discuss these consequences. I want you to welcome both Dick Notebaert and Ed Whitacre. And Dick first. Dick, please.
Thank you, Andy. And, you know, we're here tonight to welcome an important new addition to Chicago's business community. And with that thought in mind, I want to remind everyone that we really do enjoy hearing cell phones go off and pagers. So turn them on, don't leave them off. I think it's very rude for people to turn them off. Now, you know, indeed it's true that Ed Whitacre now has a very significant stake in our city's future. Ed is going to have a good deal of information to share with us this evening. Before he does, I'd like to say just a couple of words about what went into this decision to merge our two companies and what it will mean for our community. I don't think I have to stand up here and tell you that the telecommunications industry is consolidating at breakneck speeds. If you look at the consolidation, and there are many people that criticize it, but it's really not an option. It's happening, and it will continue to happen. It is made necessary by the huge amount of capital investment that it will take to meet customer demand for greater and greater amounts of bandwidth, both in their homes and, of course, in our places of business. With this in mind, companies like Ed's and like Ameritech are aligning to achieve scale and scope. The competitors, our competitors, are doing exactly the same thing. Now, that's far more obvious today than it was 17 months ago when we announced the intention to merge SBC and Ameritech. Here in the United States, during that period, for example, I'm just going to give you a few samples of what's taken place. We've got MCI WorldCom chasing Sprint. We've got Bell Atlantic pushing to acquire GTE. And AT&T's march to gobble up just about every cable television company whose name could come to your mind. The same is true when you look on the global basis. We see Deutsche Telekom, we see British Telecom, other companies with ambitious shopping lists and billions of dollars earmarked for their global investments. They know, as we know, that telecommunications providers must consolidate. That is the only way that they can create the platforms that are necessary to bring new services to market. It is truly about scale and scope. And that is the only way that they can create the huge amount of capital investment that's necessary to meet the needs of our industry, the demands of our customers, both domestically and globally, because world trade is global. Now, fortunately, this is precisely the kind of capability we have created with the SBC Ameritech merger. Now, having said this, I would say to each of you that it was with mixed emotions that Ameritech entered into this agreement. Strategically, there was never a doubt in the minds of the management team and the board of directors about the need to consolidate. But Ameritech was a very strong, successful, and a very proud organization. For a while, we thought it would be worth trying it alone. We soon realized, though, that a merger was inevitable. So it became our goal to find the right partner, a strong, United States-based company with values and capabilities similar to our own. We found such a partner in SBC, a company that Fortune magazine recently named the world's most admired telecommunications company for the third year running. And I can tell you from personal experience that the reputation is deserved. Ed Whitacre and his colleagues have been a pleasure to work with throughout an incredibly arduous and lengthy regulatory review. They have been eager to honor all of the agreements, including the fact that they will continue to market under the Ameritech name. They have also said, and will honor the fact, that there will be zero net job loss in the upper Midwest in the combined company, SBC, and in Illinois, and that means also here in Chicago. And there's one last commitment that they have made and they have lived up to, and I have no doubt will continue to live up to, and that is that they will continue to be the kind of corporate citizen that this community has come to expect from its corporations. They will be a strong participant in the public-private partnership. In fact, just a little over 2 hours ago, Mayor Daley and I made an announcement that reflects the commitment that SBC has to this community. A contribution of $3 million was made by the Ameritech Foundation to the Millennium Park. It's the largest single contribution that has been made by that foundation. And you can consider this an invitation to visit the Ameritech Plaza in the heart of what I think will be a stunning urban oasis. It is a gift that we are delighted to give to the citizens and visitors of this community for decades to come. And I think it is a testimonial, a rock-solid indication of SBC's commitment to Chicago. Now, I'm sure Ed has a lot to tell us, so we're going to get him up here. And ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a Chicago welcome for my friend, SBC CEO Ed Whitacre.
Thank you very much, Dick, for that introduction, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have all fallen in love with Chicago, and thank you, Andy McKenna, for that nice introduction. I've been called a lot of things, but I don't think Godzilla is one of them. That's a new one for me. And to Warren Buffett's eloquent words, which I was just thinking of, which I can't say, we would equate that to the dog who chased the car and now we've caught it, what do we do next? You know, it's not quite as good as Warren Buffett's, but it gets the point across. Thanks to you, the members of the Economic Club of Chicago, for inviting me to speak. I very much appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight at such a prestigious forum, and I would like to thank all of you as customers of SBC Ameritech. And we also have some SBC Ameritech people here tonight, and I would like for them to know that I appreciate that very much, them coming and showing support. Dick, I don't think it would surprise anybody when I would say that I 100% agree with what you said, and I'd like to echo some of those thoughts. First, though, I want to tell you how much we all appreciate what you have done over the last 17 to 18 months to get this merger approved. Our people know this, perhaps you don't, but the people at Ameritech handle this whole thing extremely professionally and graciously, and Dick, that started at the top. So on behalf of SBC, I want to thank you for making Ameritech one of Illinois' outstanding citizens, and for doing an outstanding job of helping guide us through this process. This merger has been a long time coming. We first announced this merger in May of 1998. By May of 1999, we all started to get a little antsy about this, but we were still hopeful it would finish soon. In fact, in June, there was a fellow who spoke before another Chicago audience, and he boldly predicted that the merger would be concluded, and this is a quote, in a month or so. That's a close quote. I've sure learned my lesson about making predictions. I won't make any more. But in all fairness, there were a lot of predictions flying around town from the moment we introduced this transaction. Most of these predictions had a couple of elements in common. One is they were inspired by our competitors, and secondly, they were wrong. You heard things, I'm sure, like jobs were going to go away by the thousands, that service was going to plummet, that rates were going to skyrocket, and on and on. It got so far removed from reality, there were times last summer that I was sure I'd pick up the paper and read the following headline: Heat wave bakes Chicago, SBC blamed. These are not too good, are they? I'm trying up here, though. But through it all, I always remembered the words of the great philosopher Yogi Berra, who once said, a guy ought to be very careful about making predictions, especially about the future. Honestly, anyone who genuinely wanted to anticipate what might happen in Illinois after the merger, all you had to do, honestly, was look at what happened in California when we acquired Pacific Bell. In the 2.5 years since we acquired Pacific Bell, there is no question that by any objective that you want to use to measure, things in California improved. Critics said in California we'd eliminate jobs. We actually have added 5,000. They said that service would decline for the telephone user in California. Service has gotten better. They said we'd let investments in our networks drop, but really there's more investment, not less. They said Pacific Bell's record of corporate giving would decline precipitously. It's more than doubled. It's that kind of commitment to the company and the community that we hope to replicate and will replicate in Illinois and throughout the Ameritech states, and I want you to know that. I am delighted, as Dick said, that it starts today with the announcement by Mayor Daley and Dick Notebaert that Ameritech will make its largest grant in history to help fund a portion of the Millennium Park. And I'm sure you've read about that in the news. Millennium Park is going to be a major extension, some 24 acres added on to Grant Park. Now, I don't know much about Chicago, but I do love it so far. But it didn't take me long to learn that Grant Park is one of Chicago's crown jewels. If there's one place in the city where people from different communities can come together, I guess it's Grant Park. And I think that's for the symphony or the jazz festival or the 4th of July. And for those people who said that Ameritech would fade from Chicago's landscape, it won't. Literally, it won't. The heart of Millennium Park will be the Ameritech Plaza, the 30,000 square foot area for Chicagoans and their visitors to meet, relax, and view the city's backdrop and a unique piece of art that will be displayed there. It will also be a place to attend charitable events, art fairs, music festivals, and much more. More importantly, it will be a place where friends and family can come together in the spirit of community, and we at SBC Ameritech are glad to be part of it. So, having achieved the merger goal that we worked so hard for, you're probably wondering what's next. Actually, the question a lot of people have been asking is, what are you going to do, SBC? What are you going to do to Ameritech? This is a simple answer for us. We're not going to do anything to Ameritech. Nothing. We are not going to do anything to Ameritech, but together SBC is going to do great things with Ameritech. Dick talked a minute ago about the huge changes in the telecommunications industry. We are headed for a time when I believe there will be a handful of major players out there capable of meeting all of your communications needs without regard to your geography or type of service. That's what a world-class communications company should do, and that's what we're going to do thanks to Ameritech. We will provide customers with a full range of services, local and long distance, wireline and wireless, broadband or high-speed internet access, and video. We'll provide it wherever you need us, around the country and around the world. And we'll provide it in bundles that fit what you, our customers, need, and it'll fit your budget as well as your needs, and we'll do it all on one bill. Perhaps no part of that bundle will be more critical to the future than broadband, the ability to use the internet and the great applications that makes possible at tremendously high speeds. In fact, SBC just made a major announcement regarding high-speed access via our ADSL service. It's a rather technical name and probably more than you want to know, but I'm going to tell you anyway. ADSL stands for, I've had to work on this one too. ADSL stands for Asynchronous Digital Subscriber Line, and let me put it this way. It turns the phone lines in your homes or businesses to a high-speed on-ramp to the internet. We're going to reach more homes, more customers than any company in America, and it's going to change your life and mine. There's no more dial-up to the internet. There's no more slow downloads. Lots of innovative and efficient uses for the internet. And rest assured, Ameritech customers will be the first. Ameritech certainly makes our vision of being a full service provider, and it makes that vision a reality. It gives us the size, it gives us the scale we need to fuel our drive into markets from coast to coast. It gives us a strong base of customers to build from, and it gives us a terrific pool of talented professionals who help make it all work. I would like to tell you that SBC and Ameritech came up with a strategy of providing bundles of services to customers. I really would like to tell you that. But I bet everybody here knows that we didn't. A lot of companies are working very hard to do that. Bell Atlantic and GTE are positioning themselves to provide bundles and do it on one bill. AT&T is buying up about every cable system in the country to do it. MCI WorldCom is trying to buy Sprint. I think it's a little ironic that some of the loudest opponents of the, not customers for heaven's sakes, it's a little ironic that some of the toughest opponents of the SBC Ameritech merger, the ones who warned about how big the combined companies would become, those who said we would have too much market share, and who demanded that regulators attach conditions to the merger of Ameritech and SBC, are now before the same regulators seeking approval to merge. AT&T will, under its current plan, control some 60% of the nation's cable customers. More importantly, AT&T is acquiring cable networks that it can keep closed to competition. Doesn't sound like a big deal, does it? It does if you're an AT&T cable system customer who wants high-speed internet access. They'll be glad to sign you up and give you internet access through their own service provider. Case closed, I think. If you want the freedom of choosing another provider, you're out of luck unless you want to pay more. This kind of stuff is completely contrary to what makes the internet so special. The wide open frontier of the internet is at risk, and I believe it should concern all of us greatly. MCI WorldCom and Sprint will control about 45% of the nation's long-distance market. They will also control most of the internet backbone. If this merger goes through, WorldCom and AT&T will control 90% of the long-distance market. That should raise concerns, too. Sounds like to me they need a little competition, wouldn't you agree? You know, it would be easy, and you know it might just be a little fun, no, it'd be a lot of fun, for us to oppose their merger. Might be a lot of fun, don't you think? Because they certainly opposed ours. But I want you to know we're not going to engage in the same tactics, the same misleading advertising, and so forth. You know, the ones with cowboy boots and cowboy hats and rope and steers and so forth. I'm sure some of you have seen those ads over the last few months, have you not? I saw them till I was sick of them. We'll make sure that our positions on critical issues like the internet access are understood. But we're going to really remain focused on competition, not on regulatory confrontation. We believe it's the responsible thing to do for you, our customers, for our employees, and for our shareowners. And believe me, we really are anxious to show you what we can do. All we ask is that you give us a chance. We were fortunate to be supported by many great people and many great organizations. We were supported by the AFL-CIO, Rainbow Push, the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, and some 200 other organizations. It won't take long, I promise you, for those who supported us to recognize that they made the right choice. Ameritech is a great addition to the SBC family. We love Chicago, we love Illinois, we love the Ameritech employees, and we look forward to getting to know all of you better. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you for inviting me tonight to join you, and we'll be happy to take a few questions now. Andy?
Thank you, Ed. What new and innovative services are made possible by the merger that it could not have been offered without the merger?
What new services are made possible by the merger? I just mentioned the biggest one. We announced Monday that we're going to spend $6 billion to bring all our customers high-speed internet access. This is big bandwidth. You can put a lot of stuff down this pipe. The ADSL I'm mentioning about, and those of you who are technically competent, I shouldn't say competent, aware, because I'm not technically competent anymore. I used to be. But it's 1.5 megabits for all customers, and some customers can get up to 6 megabits. We could not have done this without the Ameritech merger because we didn't have the size, scope, and scale. But if you think about it, we will bring more products, more services. We'll be able to do more research. We'll be more competitive. It will bring more competitors here. The merger will bring more competitors here in an effort to offset what we're doing. So you're going to see a lot of changes, but this ADSL, high-speed internet access, and we announced it 1 week after the Ameritech deal was done, will be huge, and that's made possible by this merger.
Ed, tell us about your plans for entering the long-distance market.
To enter the long-distance market, I have more plans than our regulators do right now. As you know, the Telecom Act of 1996 required us to meet 14 points, or to do 14 things right, get approval from the state commissions, and then the FCC was supposed to give us permission to enter the long-distance business. That was some 3.5 years ago, and no company has made it into the long-distance business. Some are very close. We are very close in Texas as an example, and I think we'll be in the long-distance business in Texas perhaps by February or March. New York is close. Georgia is close. There are several other states. California not too far off. Our plans are to enter the long-distance business, be very competitive with those who are in the long-distance business now, and just hang on. We want you as a long-distance customer too, and we promise you a good rate, and we'll take care of you like a personal customer.
Ed, one of the benefits of the SBC Ameritech merger was that you would be able to offer a national local service. Maybe you can tell us what your strategy is in that respect.
As part of the conditions for approving the Ameritech merger, we agreed to go into 30 markets outside our geography and compete with existing. All of this is about more competition in the telecommunications industry, and you, the consumer, are the beneficiary. So we agreed, and we're excited about going into 30 markets in places like Atlanta and Miami and New York City, and 30 other places, Seattle, et cetera, to compete against the incumbent. That's good news for you, because that too will force other companies, I believe, to come into this geography and compete against us, and I think that will result in lower costs for you, better service, and I think you'll enjoy a lot of benefits out of that. But we are excited about going across the country, becoming a nationwide telecommunications company, again made possible by Ameritech.
I'm sure you would agree with the premise that SBC is better positioned than other firms to emerge as a winner in the telecommunications marketplace. Would you care to elaborate on that? Okay, let me restate the question. SBC is better positioned than other firms to emerge as a winner in the telecommunications industry. Would you care to comment on that?
That really was a ruse while I thought. No, I wasn't, Andy. This does better position us because Ameritech had put together a great international footprint. SBC has a good one. Ameritech has a great wireless business. So does SBC. We operate in some terrific states. I believe you're going to see the industry consolidate, as I said, into 4 or 5 major players. And this is a global business. All of you know that. Telecommunications is no longer a city deal. It's no longer statewide. It's no longer a national business. It's global, and we are all tied together very closely. We want to be the best global communications company in the world. With the assets that we've gotten from Ameritech, plus capital investment like I'm talking about to bring high-speed access to all of you, and the ability and the want to step out and do it right now, I think positions us to be a very big player globally, and that's our ambition because we believe that serves our shareowners well, and that's who I work for, is the shareowners. And that's what we can do. Again, the Ameritech merger makes that possible.
And let's talk about cable for a moment. Ameritech has a major position in the cable industry. This has not been the highest priority for you folks at SBC. Which strategy will be pursued?
Andy, I always get that question. And the reason I always get that question, it's pretty well known, but it's incorrect. But it's pretty well thought that we don't like the cable TV business. And it's thought that because we owned the Washington, D.C. system one time and sold it, and we owned a couple in California and sold it. But the reason we sold those systems and got out of that business is because we had them in a place where we didn't operate a telephone company. And so there were no synergies. And besides that, we're not geniuses at cable TV, I would have to admit that. But what Ameritech has done is in some of the cities where they operate, they have built a state-of-the-art fiber optic cable system. We don't have any intentions of exiting that business. We think that's a good complement to what we do. Video is something that's important to us, and so we're going to continue to operate those and look at them and see how it goes, but I anticipate that's going to go very well.
Ed, tell us about your plans for growth overseas.
I was speaking at Kansas University last night, and there were 1,500 people there. But the reason there were 1,500 is I think it was mandatory for these students. And at the end of it, they had a question and answer period, and this young man asked me about Deutsche Telekom and said, the papers have it that you're going to do a deal with Deutsche Telekom. And I asked him if he was trying to get me put in jail if he wanted me to answer that question. And so I said no comment. But I will say to you that we are very interested in an international business. And you stop and think where we operate in Switzerland and France and Belgium and Denmark and Mexico and Canada and Taiwan and South Africa, and I could go on. We plan to grow internationally. And the reason is telecommunications, your need to communicate with others, is not a national business anymore. It's not a state business. This is a global economy we operate in. We have to serve our customers worldwide, and so we would have plans to grow internationally. I think it's important. Again, our objective, what we want to do, is we want to be the best global telecommunications company, and we look forward to doing that.
Ed, maybe a reflection from you and maybe even from Dick. You both have been in this business all your life. I'm sure that the changes have been extraordinary in the last few years. What can we look forward to in the next few years?
Dick says I can answer that, and my answer is I don't have a clue. I can tell you that there are going to be more devices, there's going to be more high speed. 62% of the nation next year, or just shortly after that, will have a PC and access to the internet in their home. That's an astounding number when you think that the internet didn't really exist as we know it until 3, 4, 5 years ago, if that long. We are going to see a combination of devices, ways for you to communicate, both wire and wireless. I suspect that will astound all of us. It is moving so fast, it's incredible. I feel very fortunate to be in this industry because it's exciting. It's hair-raising at times, but it's an exciting business and one that's going to move rapidly, and it's all aimed at the consumer, you, and you're going to benefit from it. It's more competition, more things to make your life better and to help you live a better life. It's going to happen real fast.
Well, Ed, you've been terrific. I think we all agree we're in great hands. I know you all want to join me in thanking both Dick and Ed for this evening. Just a reminder, the forum on November the 3rd. We'd love to see you all there, and our next dinner meeting of this sort is on December the 6th. We are adjourned.
She can make these explains what